Testing, testing, testing. I think you can hear me now. I'm going to attempt to check my audio through my phone. Give me a second. Okay. My sister let me know that she can hear me. So that's good. I'm just waiting for people to get on. I started a little bit early. I started about 5 minutes early today because I wanted to make sure that my audio was working and we didn't have to deal with um, that unnecessary hassle. As always, you all know that this is Dope for Degrees Community Scholarship Chat. And so I get on every Sunday at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time to have a conversation with the world about scholarships. As you can tell, because y'all know many of my videos are recorded in my apartment. I am back home in Woodbridge, Virginia, which feels really good. We wrapped up our tour, the In My Bag tour. We did one in my hometown of Danville, Virginia, and we did one in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And so for anyone who's not familiar with what that is, the In My Bag tour is a back to school giveaway and back to school and teacher appreciation giveaway. So what that means is basically we gave away more than 500 book bags to students in my hometown of Danville, Virginia, and my co-founder's hometown of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We also gave away more than 200 teacher appreciation gifts. Well, we gave away 200 teacher appreciation gifts between the two locations. And so it was just giving back. It was something that God told us to do, something God assigned us to. And so by his grace and the support of our communities and people who love us, we were able to raise more than $10,000 in a month and a half. We started planning the back to school giveaway tour in April of 2019. I was still in college. My co-founder, Kevin, was still in college as well. And Corey is a recent graduate of Virginia Tech who graduated in 2017, but he was working a job. And so we were planning logistics in the middle of graduation, in the middle of relocating, in the middle of so many different things. And so it went well. I hope my audio sounds a little bit better today. I am actually using a microphone. Actually have a mic, so I hope it sounds clearer. And hopefully you can hear me. Give me 1 second. I'm going to cut my AC off just so we don't have that interruption in the audio. I'll be right back. Okay, cool beans. So hopefully that won't interrupt us again. It is 2:59, so we're 1 minute away from the kickoff of today's scholarship chat, Dope for Degrees Community Scholarship Chat. Hopefully everyone can hear me and everyone's doing well. Trying to make sure as much lighting as possible. But yeah, today I'm going to give y'all some updates. It's officially 3 o'clock, so welcome to Dope for Degrees Community Scholarship Chat. Dope for Degrees. As a company, we go live every Sunday at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time to have a conversation with the world about how you can earn scholarships to go to college and graduate debt-free. My name is Danielle Jeffers. I'm the founder of Dope for Degrees, and I'm your host for today's scholarship chat. So basically how it works is you join the conversation by leaving a comment in the chat box or a question about scholarships, and I will respond to your question or comment, and we'll just have a dialogue. The reason why this is so pertinent to student success, and especially the success of a family as they prepare to send their students to college and hopefully on the path or the track to graduate debt-free, is because many students and parents wait to have critical conversations related to scholarship success or college success or life in general. If you know my story, if you watch any of my content in the past, anything that's on my YouTube channel, then you know that I didn't start my scholarship journey until my parents had a conversation with me. And that conversation was something like, Danielle, we cannot afford to send you to college, but you still have to go. And if they hadn't been honest and transparent with me, then I would have continued to assume that they were able to pay for it and not have taken the initiative to apply for a lot of scholarships. And so the point of this is I hope families and students and stuff, they gather around a laptop, a device or whatever, and they watch these community scholarship chats and they engage so that we can have a conversation about how you can go to college and graduate debt free. I'm coming off the cuff until I see a comment or question in the chat box. So I'm just literally spilling the beans on what's going on with DOFR degrees and giving some tips and advice until anyone asks a direct question related to what they need help with. And as always, if you need, if you want to have a conversation, you don't really want to talk about it in a public setting, then I will put my link to contact me through my website and we can have a conversation offline. So first, let me drop the general link to my website so everyone has that. And I'm also going to drop the link to contact me via my website if you want to talk about something offline. It's something that is something you don't want to discuss in a public setting. I completely understand. While I'm waiting for someone to leave a comment or a question. Okay, my sister just dropped a question. She said, what was your biggest obstacle in applying for scholarships? My biggest obstacle in applying for scholarships was believing it was going to work. Because with scholarships, there aren't any guarantees. There aren't any guarantees that you'll win any money, and there aren't any guarantees that you'll graduate debt free. But you put in a lot of hard work and sacrifice, hoping that the time and effort you put into applying for these scholarships will pay off in the long run. And so I had my own hiccup. The fall, my parents had a conversation with me at the beginning of my senior year. So you're looking at August, September of 2014. And I started applying for scholarships within the next couple of weeks after we had that conversation. And I was applying for them, but I remember receiving about 12 rejection letters in a matter of 2 weeks. And I said, well, what's the problem? I'm doing my best. I'm writing these essays and I'm still not winning. I don't understand what's wrong. And so actually I applied for a big scholarship, the Bill Gates Millennium Scholarship, which was 10 essays for one scholarship. It was a full ride to the college of my choice, as long as with the potential to earn a full ride for my postgraduate education if I went into a STEM field. And so my aunt in Philadelphia was very influential in me applying for that scholarship. And I wrote those essays and spent a lot of time on those essays for at least 2 months. And I didn't win. And when I got that rejection letter, I was like, is this even worth it? Like all this sacrifice, all this time and energy, is it even worth it? And I started talking to my aunt because I was like, you told me to apply for this and it didn't work. And you helped me. Thank you to apply for it. But it still didn't pan out the way I wanted to pan out. So what's the point of writing all these essays and wasting my time? And she basically said, I'll give you a week to cry about it, to shed your tears, and then you need to get back to work. And so I'm a very competitive person, but my biggest obstacle was making my commitment to apply to the scholarships. Because once I got the ball rolling and I got one yes, all it took was one yes for me to know that it works, and I kept going. And I think my first yes, I'm trying to remember because this was like 4 years ago and I haven't looked at the order of my award letters in a long time. But I think my first yes was the YFL scholarship. If I could be mistaken, it could have been a smaller local scholarship, but I don't think I received all my local scholarship award letters until like April of 2015, a month before I graduated. But my first yes was the YFL scholarship in February 2015, $6,000 scholarship to go to the college of my dreams. And my sister and Mr. Thomas, who are both in this chat, thank you for joining. TMH, she said, peace, Danielle. Hope all is well. Everything's well. Thank you for joining, as well as my sister. Thank you for joining. They were very influential in just basically helping me finish that scholarship application and making sure I was on track and I was doing my best. And so that was my first yes. And that was a big yes because it included an all expense paid trip to Las Vegas, Nevada to go get the scholarship for $6,000. And I was over there for, I think, 3 days. And so it was phenomenal. So that was my biggest obstacle. But I think that's a lot of students' biggest obstacle is making the commitment. And the thing about it is what you'll learn is When you commit to something, a commitment is basically doing what you said you would do long after the initial feeling you had in that moment has left. I'll say it one more time. A commitment is doing what you said you would do long after the initial feeling you had in that moment has left. To give you an example, a very recent example, our commitment to get back to our hometowns was a challenge because Corey, Kevin, and I, we are the co-founders of the In My Bag tour. We knew we wanted to give back, but we just didn't have the means within ourselves to do it. And we made a commitment to do it without understanding how everything would pan out. And so we started in April and things got really hard when exams hit and when relocation logistics hit and when graduation logistics hit. And it's like, we don't know if we have the capacity to do this because we're all in 3 different locations trying to plan something, a back to school giveaway tour. Like we're in our 20s. I'm 22, Kevin's 23, and Corey's 25. We're in our 20s trying to plan this 2 huge events in 3 different locations. But we had already made the commitment, so we didn't have a choice but to execute. So that's my biggest point of emphasis with students when they start the scholarship process is you're in it for the long run. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You got to give 110% every day and you can't slack up. I know you're not going to feel like doing it all the time. I can relate to that now. I don't feel like doing a lot of things I have to do all the time, but you made the commitment and so you have to execute. So that was my biggest obstacle. I think that's a lot of students' biggest obstacles. While I'm waiting for the next question or comment to come in, I will say that I did speak at Forest Park High School in Woodbridge, Virginia this week. Shout out to my sister for that introduction, to Miss Tiffany Smith. And thank you, Miss Tiffany Smith, for having me and my mentor, who is also the Chief Development Officer of Doe for Degrees, Thomas Harrelson, at the senior boot camp and allowing us to speak to your students and parents about how they can earn scholarships to go to college and graduate debt-free. And all Forest Park High School students and parents that I met on Wednesday, August 21st, there's also a video on my YouTube channel if you would like to watch that. I'm in the process of following up with you all. I have a huge announcement to share with you all. And so that's why it's taking me longer than expected to get back with you all, because I've been working on some logistics behind the scenes. But while I'm waiting for that, I saw a question come through, another question. I'm going to take that and answer that one. While I'm waiting for that, I'm going to share this YouTube video with you all so you can see it. How do you, what am I looking for? If you just want to see what happened at Forest Park High School, feel free to watch that video. Okay, so my sister said that essays seem to be a big hurdle for a lot of students. What advice would you give to students trying to write memorable essays that help them win scholarships? Okay, so this is something I tell people all the time. When you're writing a scholarship essay, you have to balance the complexities of talking about yourself in a humble manner, like sharing your story with humility, but also pitching to a scholarship investor for them to invest in you to help you get to school and graduate with little to no debt. And so you're balancing those 2 things. So you can't be prideful while you're sharing your experiences and while you're sharing your accomplishments, your aspirations. You can't be prideful. You have to be humble, but you also have to be factual in what you share, and let them know that investment in you is one of the best investments they'll ever make. And so when I say that, at the end of all of the things you've written within your essay, your end goal should be to make sure your reader feels like they know you by the time they finish reading your essays. The scholarship provider, whoever, the scholarship committee, whoever's reviewing your essays, your goal is for them to feel like they know you personally by the time they finish reading your essays. So, for instance, let me give you an example. When I was in high school, and if you know me or if you know any parts of my story, then you've heard this before. But when I was in high school, both of my parents were forced to retire from their respective jobs by the end of my sophomore year of high school because of their health issues. And when that happened, the household finances decreased, and also the household responsibilities shifted. So I was doing a lot of things that my mother and my father used to do and helping to balance that while taking dual enrollment courses, regular high school credits, volunteering at my Boys and Girls Club, being a leader at my Boys and Girls Club, and serving within the community in general with my church and other avenues. And so I was busy, to say the least. And to say that, I could have said, life is unfair and it's thrown huge obstacles at me. It's made me grow up faster than I would like to. And now I have a lot on my plate, but you know what? I'm still the best of the best. And like, I'm better than everyone else. And my GPA is still a 4.1. And I could have bragged and been prideful, but that's not what they want to see. I changed my word again. I basically said something along the lines of, life hasn't always thrown the prettiest things in my path, but I've learned that no matter what life throws at you, your job is always to be a good person. And so I've juggled a lot. I'm dealing with a lot in my household and outside of my home, but I still have to perform and be the best person I can be inside and outside the classroom, because at the end of the day, what I do today will allow me to see and experience what I've been looking forward to my whole life, basically turning my dreams into a reality. And so I'm grateful for these opportunities and these difficult situations, because they're shaping me and molding me into the person I'm supposed to be. And hopefully, I hope I will be able to express my gratitude to you by giving to other students in the future. I used to say stuff like that along the lines of sentences and phrases like that in my essays a lot, especially in high school, because you have to think about it this way. A memorable essay reciprocates the generosity of the giver. I'll say that one more time. A memorable essay reciprocates the generosity of the giver. And so a scholarship provider is giving to you. They're giving. They want to have a community. They want to have an impact on their community or the world. And so they're investing in the people who will soon be in the leadership positions they currently hold. And so what they want to see is, they want to see evidence of your efforts of reciprocating their generosity in the past, the present, or the future. And so how will you give, or how have you given, or how are you giving to someone right now? And so if you can demonstrate that within your essays, but also be humble and factual, then you'll write a memorable essay. Sis, let me know if that helps. TMH, your question is, how do you express guarantees with scholarships versus an investment in graduating debt-free? That's a good question. I had a conversation with a student yesterday about investing in our scholarship success program. Thank you, sister. Thank you for that feedback. She said it helped, gave me a thumbs up. And they were asking me, can you guarantee that I'll win scholarships? Can you guarantee? No, as a company, Dough for Degrees, we cannot guarantee anything. We can't guarantee that you'll graduate debt free. We can't guarantee that you'll win scholarships, but we can promise you that we'll put our best foot forward to give you the information to allow you to pursue that path of graduating debt free. But think of it, it is an investment in yourself. And so you think about college. I had this conversation with a lot of people in TMH. We just had this conversation yesterday. Everyone's so gung-ho on going to college. Everyone's so excited about college being the next step. I'm not trying to diminish your excitement. I don't want you to be less enthusiastic. I want you to be enthusiastic, but I also want you to be real and look at the situation as it's presented to you. You go to college and there aren't any guarantees. There's no guarantee that you'll walk across the stage with your degree. There's no guarantee that you'll have a job, because colleges don't specialize in job placement. They specialize in providing the environment to educate you in a particular field or interest that you have, so that you can further yourself and pursue what you want to do. Colleges don't guarantee a job. Now, there are some business models out there of higher education institutions that are guaranteeing you a job in your field, or that they have a contract that where it says if you get a job in your field after you complete your education here, you don't have to pay any money up front, but you can just pay us on the back end and cut up every check you take. So it's almost like a loan in advance. But the thing about it is, college doesn't have any guarantees, but people still do it anyway. And so when they ask me, well, your program doesn't have any guarantees. No, but I think it's better to have the knowledge of what someone did who graduated debt free with more than $200,000 in scholarships and be able to access it on your own as long as you want to increase your potential of graduating debt free than to not have it. And so it's an investment in your success, and you'll see a return on your investment with the fruit of your labor. But you also have to put in the work. It's like you do in school. You go to class, they give you the material, they give you the syllabus, they give you the textbooks, but it's still your job to write the essays and do the tests and do the papers and everything like that. So you got to put in the work either way. But also, the investment in our $250 scholarship success program as it stands right now, like the stuff in there, I won more than $200,000 in scholarships from the stuff in that program. And my education cost me $120,000. So you can do the math on the return on my investment in chasing those scholarships and applying for those scholarships versus taking student loans. And if you also want to look at the long-term impact of it, I graduated with no student loans, zero student debt. I didn't owe anyone anything in regards to my education. Whereas someone who graduated with student loans now I graduated in May, June, July, August, September, October, November, June, July, August, September, October, November, those student loans go into repayment. So there are going to be some student loan collectors and loan providers knocking on some people's doors with letters and calling people and sending them emails telling them, hey, you owe me. And that's pressure and that's stress because once again, you're walking into that, having just come off an emotional high of graduating with no guarantees that you have a job, but you still got to pay somebody back. And the interest rate, God forbid you have an unsubsidized loan. That unsubsidized loan has been gaining interest the whole time you've been in school. And I doubt you'll be able to pay on the principal while you're in school because most loans are set up like that. And so now you only begin to repay on the interest and you begin to repay on the principal once you graduate. So 6 months. So with unsubsidized, let me break this down real quick. There are unsubsidized student loans and there are subsidized student loans. And unsubsidized student loans, they gain interest while you're in school. And most loan providers have terms and conditions within those loan contracts to say that you can't pay on the principal while you're in school. So if you make a payment, you're literally paying on the interest. Now, every loan is different, so I'm not speaking for every loan provider, but I am speaking for what I've read from experience. Well, not experience, but what I've read from some of my clients. So that's unsubsidized. It's gaining interest while you're in school. But subsidized loans, they don't gain interest while you're in school. They gain interest after you graduate. Now, the 6-month grace period that I spoke about before, does it work for unsubsidized and subsidized student loans? Yes, it does. They both have a 6-month grace period. Once again, read the terms and conditions of your loan to make sure it does. But I'm speaking from what I've read and seen other people have gone through before. What is a 6-month grace period? That means 6 months from the date that you're no longer in classes or that you graduated. Catch that. The date that you're no longer in classes or that you've graduated. So if you take a so-called break, like me, I went into, I did a co-op my last semester of school. If I would have had student loans and, how do I want to say this? I'm trying to make sure I say it correctly. I worked for myself. My last semester of school, I worked for myself. But had I taken a break in the middle of earning my degree and I had student loans, those student loans would have went into repayment as soon as the 6-month mark hit from me taking a break from school. And so you just want to look at things and be very clear on what you're doing, because once you sign your name on a dotted line, you made a commitment once again. So you got to deal with it. Another question came through. How did you balance applying for scholarships with your schoolwork in high school and college? Oh my gosh. I spoke at C2 Education on Friday, and that's a question a parent asked me there too. They were like, how did you do so much in such a little time? Basically, what drove you to get all that done? And for me, my biggest fear is regret. I don't want to have any regrets. I don't like regrets. So I just take advantage of every second, every minute of every day. One of my pet peeves is wasted time. I don't like wasting my time. And so how did I balance applying for scholarships when I was in high school? I dropped everything that was a distraction and it was not going to produce what I wanted, which was to go to college and graduate debt-free, and dropped it off my plate. Video games, gone. Basketball, gone. Birthday parties, gone. Hanging out with friends, gone. Socializing after school, gone. I laser focused. I tightened my focus so much that I was only school, scholarships, home, and a little bit of sleep in between. To be honest with you, I was so focused. I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning as an 18-year-old to apply for my scholarships. And I would go to sleep at 12 and then get back up at 5 a.m. I did that every single day for 5 months, even on the weekends, to apply for my scholarships. but I also saw the fruit of my labor. So I did that for 5 months and earned and applied for more than 30 scholarships and won 14 of them, totaling more than $100,000. I'll say it one more time. I did that for 5 months as a high school senior at 18 years old and applied for more than 30 scholarships and won 14 of them, totaling more than $100,000. I sacrificed to see my success. I was willing to make a commitment to see what I wanted. That was in high school. In college, it was different. Scholarships literally became a part-time job for me. Now, in high school, they were a full-time job because I was putting in at least 40 hours a week during that 5-month period, applying for those scholarships. But in college, they became a part-time job, and I was still putting in 20 to 25 hours a week applying for scholarships because that $100,000 plus in scholarships that I won in high school wasn't enough to cover the cost of my education in college. And so in college, with the help of my sister, my mentor, I had a calendar, and I use Google Calendar, which I use on my phone now, and it takes me step by step. I know what I have to do every single hour of the day. And so I was more structured in my time management in college than I was in high school. But the commitment was the same. Anything that's a distraction has to go until I accomplish what I need to accomplish. And so it's literally looking at yourself and being so self-aware. Like, I know I get easily distracted with TV, basketball, and like if I'm having fun with my friends, I can get easily distracted. So they had to go. I'm like, hey, I'm going on pause for a minute. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all enjoy your life. But right now, I'm trying to get this money so I can graduate debt-free. Same thing right now. I'm off social media. I step back from Facebook. I step back from Instagram. I step back from Twitter. I was on Facebook for the In My Bag tour, but now I'm off because I'm like, I can't focus on that right now. I need to write my books. I need to tighten up my products and get things in line so that I can see what I want to see in the near future. And I'm not willing to sacrifice my success and live with regrets. So if it's a distraction, it's got to go. My aunt said, hey, Kia, how are you? Thank you for joining. As always, y'all know y'all can drop a question in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to help you. It's 3:23, y'all, so we have about 7 minutes left in today's community scholarship chat. But I'm just answering questions as they come through related to how students can go to college and graduate debt-free. Now that I'm settled, I'm back at home and we finished the tour, I'll have more regular content out and available to you all, such as the tips on how does financial aid work, how does scholarships work, and those types of videos on my YouTube channel. And if you're not subscribed already, I encourage you to subscribe so that you get alerts and notifications about those videos as they come out. But that doesn't change the fact that we'll still be doing community scholarship chats every Sunday at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Talk with the world about how they can earn scholarships to go to college and graduate debt-free. And so, sis, I hope that answers your question. Now that students are back in school or you're preparing to go back to school, I do want to say this. I want to say go back to school and set your intentions. I have a little cousin she started high school this year. Our baby's growing up, but I talked to her. We talked a lot this summer, but I also went with her to our open house, and I told her, I said, when you go to school, you need to set your intentions. What are you here to do? And what do you want to accomplish? She's like, I want to get good grades. Okay. Quantify it. What is a good grade? A's and B's, C's. Give me a GPA. I told her straight up. I said, if you want to win scholarships, because she always says seeing life outside of Danville, her hometown, is one of her biggest goals. And I respect that, because that was one of my biggest goals too, to grow up and move outside of the city and see what life has to offer. I said, well, if you want to do it and graduate debt-free and have a similar experience as the one I had, I'm going to need you to maintain at least a 3.5 GPA. Now, I tell my clients and students all the time, maintain at least a 3.0. That's good, okay? But once again, mediocre is not pleasant. Strive for excellence, set the bar high and hit it. And so I said a 3.5 will open a lot of doors for you. A 3.5 will open a lot of doors for you. And so that's a challenge to all the students. Set your intentions. What do you want to accomplish this school year? What do you want out of this school year? Where do you want this school year to take you? Because once you set your intentions and you set your goals, you know what you need to work toward. Now, it doesn't mean everything is going to be picture perfect and you won't have any obstacles or hurdles to overcome. But once you know what you're working toward, you know what you need to focus on and what distractions you need to eliminate. TMH said, can you break down one more time how much you were paid to write over 120 scholarships? basically 3 per month to earn over 200K in 4 years. Yes. So I said scholarships became a part-time job for me when I was in college, but when I was in high school, I made them my full-time job by making sure I had enough money to start at least my first year without any loans. And once again, there aren't any guarantees in scholarships. So I was just putting in the work and praying that God would help let the money come through because I needed the money really badly. But when I was in high school, I was averaging $1,500 an hour with my scholarship awards, meaning I would write an essay and say it took me 4 hours to write that essay. The ROI on my investment was $1,500 an hour. Scholarships have been the best part-time job I've ever had. Now in college, you look at, I wrote over 120 essays between the time span of my senior year of high school and graduating from college. We did the figures, and I remember us saying once we did the figures, TMH, that I was averaging about $450 an hour when you look at that experience of going from high school to college, because my time commitment did decrease once I got in college because I was also building a business. I was socializing with my friends. I was taking my classes. I was involved in different clubs and organizations, but I also made sure that I stuck to my commitment, which was to graduate debt free. And so I was in high school making $1,500 an hour by applying for scholarships. And then in college, I was averaging about $450 an hour. An hour, not an essay, an hour. So if it took me 4 hours to write an essay, you're looking at an average in college, 450 times 4. That was $1,800 from that one scholarship from 4 hours of labor, $450 an hour. And so having that experience has helped me identify what my hourly rate now is as a business owner and as a speaker and as an educator, an independent education consultant. I know what my hourly rate is. And that's also on my website. If you want to learn and see what that is, I'll put the link in here just for those who are curious. But I say that to say that know what you're willing to work for and understand that your sacrifice right now is going to put you years ahead of the game. Because I have friends who call me, especially those who we graduated together, and they will say, Danny, I should have really done what you said when we were in college. I should have really applied for the scholarships. And they're like, now I kind of regret it because I have student loans. And I said, hey, regret is one of the most painful things you can have, but the best thing you can do right now is take advantage of the time you have and basically manage your money correctly so that you can pay off your student loans as fast as possible. And I talked to someone a little while ago, and I asked them, I think they said they had $70,000 in student loan debt. And he said he paid it off in 6 to 8 years, something like that. I can't remember exactly. I said, well, how did you do it? He said, I lived with 7 other people and I ate ramen for a long time to pay off those student loans. And can you imagine living with 7 other people in your 20s and in your 30s, and eating ramen for your meals to cut your expenses so that you can pay back your student loans? That's not a pleasant lifestyle. But it's something that people are willing to commit to and willing to do to free themselves. And that's the biggest thing I was fighting for when I was applying for my scholarships was my freedom. I wanted freedom and control of my life. I didn't want to owe anyone. I've never liked owing anyone. Even when my parents would lend me $10 as a kid, I didn't like it because I had to pay them back. Like, I like to have freedom. That's what I fight for the most every day is my freedom, the ability to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, where I want to do it, and who I want to do it with. In terms of building my business, in terms of just living a quality life, like not being pigeonholed to anything. And so it is officially 3:30, y'all. As y'all know, this is a 30-minute conversation. I'm going to wait a couple minutes. So if anyone has any last-minute questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to drop them in the chat box. You can also, I will say, if you have any content that you would like me to shoot this week, that you would like to see on my YouTube channel, feel free to drop that in the chat box as well and let me know. I'll be more than happy to put that on my schedule and get that to you all. As always, I'm here to serve as a resource. I'm here to help you all. And everything I tell you may not work for you. But I will say that if it doesn't work for you, if it does work for you, let me know. so that we can adjust some things and make sure the information is presented in a clear manner, and that it can help you execute and chase what you want, which hopefully is graduating debt free, building financial wealth, building generational wealth, and living the best life that you could possibly live. My sister said, thank you for sharing. You're welcome, sis. TMH says, as always, I am proud of you. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, TMH. I just want to hear this. If 4 people are still on, if you could drop a comment. Is the audio quality good? I'm using a microphone. Y'all can see it in this corner, using a mic. I just want to make sure it's better than last week, because I watched last week's video back and there's a lot of feedback with my headphones rubbing against my shirt. And so, yes, please let me know if the audio quality is good, if you want me to improve it, or if you need me to adjust something. But with that being said, also want to say, okay, my sister said sounds good. Thank you. My aunt said sounds good. TMA said it sounds good. Cav says loud and clear. Thank y'all so much for the feedback. Also want to say this week, do I have any speaking engagements? No. My next speaking engagement is September 13th, Friday, September 13th. I want to make sure I have it correctly. I'm also going to drop the link on my website where you can see a full list of my upcoming and past speaking engagements. But my next speaking engagement is Friday, September 13th at the Virginia Statewide Neighborhood Conference in Roanoke, Virginia. I will also be speaking at the Jack and Jill of America Incorporated Manassas Woodbridge chapter. I'll be doing a workshop there on how to graduate debt free on October 19th. That's a Saturday in Northern Virginia. Location is yet to be shared, but once I have updates, and if it's a public event, I'll post a video on my YouTube channel and make you aware, or I may just roll an image at the end of a YouTube video to make you aware. But just make sure you watch the end of my videos, because I put a lot of content there that's silent, that are photos and thumbnails that roll through, just to help make you aware of what's going on. Once again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate it so much. I look forward to talking to you all throughout this week through my videos, and have a great week.